Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 72. We're available on anchor.fm/Travis and Damian podcast, along with Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. If you guys would like to ask us any questions, you can leave a voice message at the anchor link or in the YouTube comments section. Today, we're going to be talking about general gaming news, including Sora and Smash Brothers and Nintendo Online expansion price. Then we'll get into our recent activities, discussing Metroid Dread and other games/anime. Lastly, our thoughts on Marvel What If's finale. So, we're just going to get right into it. Sora in Super Smash Brothers. This is the last fighter that Sakurai revealed, and the reactions, the memes, everything that happened afterwards was great, but the presentation itself, the amount of care, the amount of actual attention Sakurai and his team put into getting Sora into Smash is fantastic. This is the first of these Fighter Pass 2 that I actually watched from beginning to end without having it fast forward at 1.5 or 2 times speed, because Sora is a fighter that I have been wanting along with many others for a long time, despite me not being a Kingdom Hearts fan. It's just super cool to see him in Smash Brothers. So yeah, what are your thoughts, Damian?
I basically feel the same way that you did, where it's I never thought it would happen, right? I'm always oh, that would never happen. He would never be in Smash Brothers, and then he ended up being in Smash. And it just fits, right? I feel you see him next to Mario and Link. Almost said Zelda. What's wrong with me? And Link, he fits in really well. And I think it's just a character people wanted forever. Sakurai revealed in the stream that he was really the true winner of the Smash Ballot, which makes a lot more sense to Bayonetta. I love Bayonetta, but there was no way she would have won compared to Sora, right? Because you always heard for years that people wanted Sora in Smash, and that Sakurai was able to get it not only from Square, which are notorious for being hard to work with. When they were trying to get Cloud in Smash 4, he was a pain in the ass to get apparently. And Disney themselves, because Disney technically owns Sora, to just let Square do whatever they want with him. So yeah, seeing Nintendo being able to grab it out of those two companies is just insane to me,
Yeah, I think that the memes that came out there were I pay up, and it's the fucking bill, it's a bajillion dollars and shit like that. Yeah, I mean, Donald and Goofy aren't a part of it or any sort of Disney iconography, which is fine. I think that was kind of expected. Sort of sacrificing those two to get Sora himself in the game is fine. But just seeing the alternate costumes, all of them being from other Kingdom Hearts games, the stages, the soundtrack, everything about Sora as a fighter is super interesting and super cool to see that Sakurai, he knows that this is the last fighter that he's going to make for this game, and he really put everything into it and put so much care and attention into it. And I'm sure Disney and Square are happy with how he looks in the game, and I'm sure fans of Kingdom Hearts are even happier than I am, because like I said, I've wanted Sora for a while just because I think he fits in the Smash Brothers sort of universe, and the fact that he is finally in there is awesome. And I think that as the last fighter, I think no one can really be sad or disappointed about Sora being the last one, because they should know that people have been wanting him for a while, and the fact that he is the last fighter is super cool. And honestly, I didn't buy Fighters Pass 2 until they announced Sora. I'm gonna be honest, but yeah.
I mean, I've honestly been very happy with all the fighters in Fighter Pass 2. I mean, I got Sephiroth, Pyramithra, and now Sora. I'm damn. I feel this is everyone that's not into JRPGs would hate this, as you can tell. But I honestly think this is amazing. And I don't know, I feel Sora feels like Banjo for me, where he should have been in this game since forever, right? I feel he just fits. I wouldn't mind ever since Smash 4 was coming out, I'm Sora's probably gonna be in that, right? Or Banjo, and then it didn't happen until this game. It just kind of feels like that. It's just it's about time he's in this game, and I'm very happy for fans of it, and just for anyone who's been wanting him for a long time. I mean, I kind of want Sora in there for a while, just because again he just fits in really well, and like you said, I think Sakurai put so much detail into it because he knows this was such a requested character. From all the the cool little animations he gets when he KOs someone, or all his different costumes. He definitely has the best costumes in the game, from all the other Kingdom Hearts games, and like even like the Timeless River one where he looks all like Steamboat Willie and stuff. Like
Hmm.
that's like really sick. So yeah, they clearly put a lot of attention to detail on this because Sakurai knew if he didn't put all his all on this, so many people would have been mad. So I'm really happy he put in all that extra effort, and it looks like it's gonna pay off like big time. So yeah, definitely happy to see Sora in Smash, and just Sakurai to just, give this game a proper like ending because I really couldn't see another character being as hype as Sora, right? Like maybe Master Chief,
Hmm.
but that's about it. Like no other character was gonna be as hype as Sora, even if you don't like anime swords fighter, whatever. Like Sora just represents more than that in terms of Smash Brothers, at least like to me anyway. So yeah,
Hmm.
I think it was a proper conclusion, and it was just the only way you could end it, really.
Yeah, and the other thing that they announced during this was the Mii Fighter costumes. I believe one of them was the Doom guy, which is kind
Oh
of
yeah,
funny.
yeah,
But he's in the game now, which is kind of cool. And I think that the Twitter people that were always memeing about Doom guy and Isabel, now that that's finally come true. I think even the official Doom Twitter sort of played into that as well. So, but yeah, I'm very very happy to see Sora in Smash and wonder how well he'll be in the game competitively because that's always exciting to see. So.
yeah. I mean, obviously, there's always gonna be like people complaining. Oh, he looks too OP. I mean, he does look pretty insane.
Hmm.
Like his recovery, like he looks like he just can't die, but he's also like really light. So we're just gonna have to see how that plays out in terms of competitively. Again, it's always interesting to see how they play into competitively, but I really feel like this like Fighters Pass has just been like really. I think the thing I like the most about Smash is how much they care about just retaining that character's feeling into
Hmm.
Smash Brothers,
Yeah.
which is something like I know like the Nickelodeon All Stars game came out too, right? And I
Yeah.
do appreciate how much is geared towards competitively, like or I guess competitive play, but I feel like it also loses some of its own like spirit or soul that they're not as zany as they can be, right? Like I know people bitch about like Hero, right? Like Giant Quest guy in Smash because he has the random command thing, but like it's such a cool thing to see, especially if
Hmm.
like a fan of that series to see that like implemented into Smash Brothers, you know? Because at the end of the day, Smash kind of still is kind of a party game. I know, like, I feel I hate hearing that, but it is still meant to be fun. I think some people, I know people play competitive for fun as well. I'm not saying it's not fun, but I just like that Sakurai really pays attention to all these details and doesn't really care too much about if it's too broken or stupid. Obviously, he cares more now than he probably did in Brawl, but I don't know. It's just something about that just makes me happy. But yeah, just a dumb little rant there.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely agree with you to that to a certain extent. Having the fighters embody the game that they come from. I think Steve is a perfect example of that
Yeah,
both
like
ways.
Steve. Yeah.
Steve is fucking bullshit, but that's just the character. He's from Minecraft, and when you do in Minecraft, you build shit. So, but yeah, I'm very very happy to see that Sakurai could finally take a break, step away from Smash, hopefully for a while, and work on some other stuff or just relax
Yeah.
because the man has given us a lot of his time over the past couple of years, ever since Smash 4 or something like that. He's
Yeah.
been constantly working on Smash Brothers. So props
Yeah.
to him for finally getting Sora, because I'm sure that he wanted Sora in the game as well. So and it's also cool to see that the games are coming to Switch. I believe they're going to be like cloud versions or something like that,
Yeah,
which
all of them are gonna be cloud versions for some reason. I like whatever. Like I know Kingdom Hearts 3 makes sense because that's a good looking game, but really you can get like the other ones, the like PS2 games. Come on, man.
it
Um,
is what it is.
but yeah, like it is crazy. He's been working on Smash since like Smash 4 to now. So it'd be cool for him to take a break, or maybe make Kid Icarus Uprising too. I also like that, but you know, he needs a break. We'll give the man a break for now.
Yeah.
But moving on, because we talked about Sora for a while. All right, so yeah, so PlayStation is no longer allowing funds to be added to the PS3 and Vita stores. So this is kind of like a follow-up to like what happened, I guess earlier. Was it this year? I can't remember.
It
Where they
could
were
have
gonna
been this
like,
year or last year, but I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, when I guess Sony was like, hey, we're gonna take down the PS3 and Vita stores, and everyone hated that, so they
And then
reversed that.
prices for those games went up exponentially on eBay.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. They went up like big time because people were like scared all that stuff was gonna get lost.
Hmm.
But Sony didn't end up going through with that. But it looks like now they're maybe trying to weasel their way to like find like a middle ground. So basically, yes, you can't add any funds to the PS3 or Vita stores themselves. You're gonna have to use either the PS5, PS4, the browser, like just on your PC, or the mobile app to actually add funds into your like PlayStation account, and then you could go back to the PS3 or Vita and buy things from there. So yeah, you're gonna have to do like a lot of like loop arounds and stuff to be able to actually buy anything on a PS3 and Vita. Obviously that it sucks, but it's not that big of a deal if you have like a PC or a phone. You could just go to the website or the mobile app or whatever.
Mhm.
But it's still kind of a hassle. I mean, they say it's to enhance online payment security for all PS3 and Vita owners. Again, don't know how true that is. I mean, it could be true because those systems are old at this point, and maybe the security isn't as tight as like the PS4 or PS5. But I kind of doubt that. I think they just want people to not really use the stores as much anymore, so they could get rid of it in the future. We already talked about the whole like I guess video game preservation and stuff, and like
Yeah.
how like things going down like this is like a big deal. And I think Sony just doesn't really seem to care about that, and it just makes me like just sad because there's no real good way to play PS3 games really. Like there's not too
Yeah.
many collections on PS4 to like play any of these PS3 games. Like the Little Big Planet games. Like I think you can play God of War 3 on PS4 now. I think they
Yes.
re-released that.
Mhm.
But like a lot of other games are just kind of just lost there. Like all the Ratchet and Clank games, like you can play them on PS now, but like does anyone want to do that? Because it like lags like crazy. So yeah, until Sony gives us a better option to play PS3 games on PS4 or 5, then they really should not be touching these stores until they have like a good solution for that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the PS3 and the Xbox 360 generation is like the first generation where like online platforms sort of became a thing, right? With like the
Yeah.
Xbox Live Arcade, the PSN store. So now we're at the point in time where like those stores are gonna slowly disappear, which is kind of sad to see. And this is Sony's first step in being like, hey, you can't add funds for these stores directly. You can add them to your PlayStation account still and buy PS3 and Vita games. You just have to go like an extra step, and them saying is to enhance payment security, this and that. That's just bullshit. That's just them saying something that isn't just like, hey, we're trying to get rid of these stores in the future, sort of thing. So it is definitely very interesting that we are in this period now where these stores and some of these games that are exclusively online for Xbox Live Arcade and PSN that are just going to disappear. And some of them have disappeared already because of licensing issues and things like that. So for example, Scott Pilgrim, like that is a very infamous game that disappeared from the online stores until it recently got re-released. And it got a physical version thanks to limited run games. So yeah, I think that because of that, I'm always going to be like a physical kind of, video game person and physical person when it comes to all of my media. I mean, the new Demon Slayer game came out today and I decided to just buy it online physically and just wait for it to come in the mail instead of just buying it digitally. If I did buy it digitally, I should have just bought it 2 days ago through the digital deluxe edition and just played it early, because that's how they get you with the digital deluxe editions now these days, where you get to play it early and stuff like that. But I'm always going to be for physical, just because that game I own then. When I put the $60 down and I have that disc, it's mine. And not to say that I won't buy digital games anymore. It's just that if there's a physical version of it, I'm always going to go for that. But yeah, it's just very interesting that now we're at the point where these stores are going to slowly disappear, and them doing this payment thing with the PlayStation stores is gonna be interesting as we move forward, I will say.
Yeah, again, we're gonna see more of these things get like wiped out, and there's just nothing we can really do about it. Like the WiiWare is kind of just gone,
Yeah.
and I know some emulators were able to, I guess, like preserve some of these WiiWare games, but there's probably still a bunch of them are just like lost to time and never be able to like play again. I mean, obviously most of them with shovelware, but it's still like the thought that counts
Hmm.
for it. So yeah, it's gonna be sad to see when that eventually starts becoming a bigger deal. But I guess we just have to see if these companies are like care enough for like the preservation of their online games, or they're just gonna let it die, which is probably gonna be that. But hopefully we see them actually do try to care a bit and try to preserve these games for like I guess the future, you know?
Yeah, and Hatbrick Games, the people that did what's it called? I don't even know. But anyways, Hatbrick Games re-release fucking Rascals on PC. That shit was dope
Oh
on Xbox
yeah,
Live.
yeah,
That
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
game is awesome, but I'm sure we're gonna lose that to time eventually.
Yeah, as in all things.
Unfortunately. All right, so moving on, we got the massive Twitch leak that happened last week that confirmed source code, stream payouts, user information, etc. So first, we'll talk about the payouts, because I found this shit to be hilarious when I was on Twitter. People were like, whoa, this streamer makes this much money. Whoa, Pokimane makes this much money. I'm like, I think their sub counts are public, and even some streamers, they have like their sub count at the bottom of their stream. So if you just take that number and times it by 2.5, you'll know how much money they make every month. So that number, I wasn't really that surprised about. It's just that, people is all right. So I was in class, right?
Yeah.
At my school. This is gonna be a huge fucking tangent. And someone brought this up. He's also like a gamer, I guess. Sometimes I talk to him about games, and he asked me, did I play Battlefield? Did I play Back 4 Blood, etc. And I'm like, I haven't played those yet. I'm trying to, busy with school, but in reality, I'm just not playing games. So he brought it up in class, and someone brought it. Someone said, I don't really like this kid. I'm gonna be honest, but he said, yeah, people just sit around and just play games, and people pay them to do that. And like my professor, he's obviously like ignorant to this. Like he's a fucking dinosaur. So like he sort of like took his side, but at the same time they had class together with each other last semester. So like I'm just new to like this class. So I'm just sitting there like I don't want to say anything, like drop my knowledge bomb about like, hey, like it is hard to like entertain people for like 4 to 5 hours daily and stream like that daily. And the reason why people subscribe to these people, it's only $5 a month because that's where they get their entertainment from. It's the same shit as if you were buying Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus every single month. It's just that they like watching this single streamer because it brings them entertainment and joy to them every single day. And suffice to say, it's not them just playing games all the time. Sometimes they do other stuff like variety streams, IRL streams, etc., etc. So, it's not them just playing games every day and then they get free money. It's not that easy. If it was that easy, everyone would be fucking doing it. As a person that has streamed in the past and trying to grow an audience on Twitch, it is very fucking hard. And that could just be because of Twitch itself. I'm not going to say that just because, I'm not going to be one of those guys that's like, hey, like this system's bringing me down. I'm just going to say that like I didn't put enough time and effort into it because I only streamed for like 4 months when I was like unemployed and like it was like deep COVID. So I was just like chilling, just like trying to have fun to kill some time sort of thing. But yeah, I just find it hilarious that like there's just ignorant people out there that just think like that. And he's my classmate. So, but yeah, the Twitch payouts, I'm not surprised about. I think people that are surprised about it should just realize that, hey, like there are people out there that are, subscribed to these people and they have thousands of subscribers and that's just how it is. So what are your thoughts, Damian? I should probably stop talking for a bit.
No, I mean, basically I agree with you. Like, I think the reason why people are so surprised is because they finally see like the straight up number to it, I guess. Like, obviously it was always there in plain sight in terms of like sub counts, and you could just do the basic math and get their total income, I guess, just through subs alone. So people already knew these people made a lot of money. But I guess just seeing that flat out number out there, people are like, whoa, what the hell? Even though it's kind of obvious, like, big streamers make a lot of money. Who would thunk it? And I mean, and I do agree that, streaming does take a lot more, effort than I think some people give it credit for. You always hear, especially just like YouTubing, or I guess like YouTubers or just Twitch in general.
Yeah, just like content creation in general.
Yeah, any type of creative thing is going to create more burnout than basically anything else, just because you always have to like put in your 100%, or else people will notice you like sort of like slacking, I guess, in terms of entertainment. And same thing with you, just like always on the job, right? Like you always have to be on like your social media, you always gotta be like on stream and stuff. Like, that probably takes a toll on someone. And obviously, is it easier than some other jobs? And yeah, probably, but it's still a lot of work. You still gotta self promote yourself. If you're smaller, you really got to put in the hours. Again, as a smaller streamer, like it's a ton of work to get really big. And it probably does take a little bit of luck and some algorithm like bullshit, but for the most part, just as hard as basically like any other like entertainment job. So I never like sort of I guess dismiss streaming as just like, oh, this easy thing, like oh, anyone could do it. And like you said, like, yeah, anyone could do it, but it doesn't mean like you're gonna get like any audience or anything. Like you do got to put in the time and effort for it.
Yeah, I mean,
so yeah, in terms, oh yeah, go on.
There's like a statistic out there. I forget. You know, most statistics are fucking made up, but
Yeah.
I heard one time that it was like if you have like 10 viewers, like you are better than like 50% of Twitch or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Which is probably true, just because it is so hard to gain a viewership on Twitch, and that goes for male and females. Like I'm gonna be honest, you know, if you are a girl, it might be a little easier, but even then, you have to be entertaining. You can't just be a girl and just like stream because, you know, there's only so much value people can get from that. And I think that sort of like that artificial thing where like people on Twitter are like, oh, you know, like girl streamers have it so much easier and shit like that. They still have to put in the fucking work. Like Pokimane didn't get where she is today without having her put the hours in when she was still in college, by the way. And, you know, I watched her during those times when she would play League because I was a League player and she was good at the game and she was entertaining, she was funny, and she still is entertaining and funny today. It's just that, you know, she has the success now where like I believe either this year or last year, she straight up just like took a month off and then came back and was still doing well, which like, you know, any streamer coming up now wishes they could do, but like on her come up, she put the hours in. And same thing for Ninja. Like I recently learned, thanks to the Courage in Nate Shot show, they recently had Ninja as a guest and they just like talked for an hour. And he talked about on how like when he was on his grind before Fortnite, he would put like 16-hour days in, and like if his family had like dinner or like friends or family over, he would be like, all right, cool. He would just grab dinner and then go back to streaming. Like that was his grind. That was what he was doing every single day for like however many years before Fortnite blew up. He blew up. He played with Drake, everything like that. You know, he put the work in. And obviously, you know, there were some things that aligned with that, like Fortnite, him playing with Drake, etc., etc. But like all of those things happened because he put the effort in. And, you know, just streaming in general, you know, is not easy. That's the last thing I'll say about it. But, you know, the whole leaks with just Twitch in general, you know, the fucking source codes. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's surprising. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell Amazon is doing with their fucking money, because, you know, Twitch is obviously like probably their second biggest ad set next to Amazon. And I feel like, you know, Twitch, you know, they're always lacking. They're always just like super complacent. They're just going with the flow because they know no one can really touch them. You know, they saw what happened to Mixer, so they're just kind of cruising. And YouTube gaming is definitely getting up there. I will say that, just because they are signing these bigger Twitch streamers and moving them onto their platform. But yeah, I just think that Twitch, you know, this whole league, like in general, is just unacceptable.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, the rest of the leak is awful. Like, you know, like the source code getting leaked out, user information, you know, everything else. You know, I already had two-step on my Twitch, but not like I stream or anything, but like, you know, I still had it just in case. You know, you probably should put in anything you have at this point. Like, it's annoying, but like you got to do it at this point. You never know when like giant data breaches like this are going to happen, and you know, they're happening more and more frequently as time goes on. So yeah, having two-step is always like a good idea. Obviously the source code, I still don't know what people get out of like the source code. Like, if someone finds out, like, they're gonna just like Twitch will just sue you, or I guess Amazon will just sue you, right? Like, I remember when this happened to CD Projekt Red, right? Cyberpunk's source code got leaked. I'm like, what are you gonna do with that? Like, if you try to sell that, you just get like destroyed by like lawyers and stuff. I guess like competing programs can sort of like take their infrastructure and sort of like make it their own. But again, people will just like, hey, this just looks like Twitch, so yeah, you can't really do a lot with that besides just look at it. And yeah, basically it was just awful. It's just a really bad show for like Twitch and Amazon, that, you know, this information could just like go willy-nilly to whoever could like put in the effort to like, I guess, get in there. So yeah, obviously the rest of this is really awful, and I'm sure streamers, you know, they probably don't mind their information, like, I guess, how much to get paid to be out there, but because again, like I said, you can just calculate it yourself.
Yeah.
But you know, it's still like kind of like annoying. Like, why would, like, don't put that out there for everyone, you know what I mean? So yeah, definitely a big failure in terms of Twitch and Amazon. Like, they should definitely have way better security, especially if like they're owned by Amazon, you know. Come on.
Yeah, and like speaking of about like the two-step authentication thing, you know, like if it has it, like use it like 100%. And also on top of that, like, you know, passwords, like make it just like a random ass password, and then like have it like written down, or like use one of those like password sort of like lockers or whatever. So like you don't even know the fucking password, sort of thing.
I don't do that because I'm lazy, but yes, you should do that.
But yeah, I mean, overall, Twitch is just they just keep fucking up. I have no idea what the hell they're doing, and people that are surprised Pikachu face about the payouts for streamers. When you watch these like big time streamers, fucking Tyler One, Pokimane, Shazam, Tens, all of these like big streamers, and you see their sub alerts going off constantly and their sub count keep going up. You shouldn't be surprised, but I'll leave it there.
All right, so we got some more Sony stuff. So PS5s and Best Buy are now locked behind their TotalTech program. So this TotalTech program that Best Buy is offering is basically like this new exclusive sort of like membership you could go for them, right? And it's $200 a year to be able to access some, pretty neat things, I guess. But I guess the big thing that they're offering is like a hot holiday item. So, like a PS5. And you'll get like this exclusive sort of like line, I guess, where you could like buy it online. Like hey, this is like, your own special thing. Only members could access this. So it basically sounds like legal scalping to me. Like $200 a year is like a lot just to get PS5. At that point, I would rather just wait, because again, if you're not into like Ratchet and Clank, there's not much reason to get a PS5 at the moment. Like for me, it was good value just because I didn't have a PS4 Pro and I'm using my PlayStation a lot more now. So I'm like, okay, I get a PS5 because one, I was gonna get it for Ratchet anyway, but two, that stuff. So if you're not into any of that, then there's still really no big reason to get a PS5 yet. And I think you're better off just waiting until there's just more readily available, because I still think this is way too much. Like maybe if you really want one and you can't find one, then you might bite the bullet for this program. But I'd say just wait. Like I don't think it's worth like $200 more on top of a $500 console, at least in my opinion. And I don't know how I feel about this sort of program in general, because again, they're kind of just taking the scalping method and just making it like a feature, I guess. And I don't know how good, I don't know how comfortable that makes me feel.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is just one of the perks for, like, their sort of annual service that they're offering, up to 2-year protection on Best Buy purchases, clock tech support, which, it's fucking Geek Squad, so, like, take that with a grain of salt. And also, you can get Apple Care on your purchases, which can be up to $200 on its own, which is kind of crazy. So if you're breaking your Apple shit a lot, this shit might be good for you. But I think them tacking on the sort of like exclusive access is just them being like trying to hurt scalpers, but at the same time, scalpers are going to be like, well, that's just $200. I could probably get that back, if I do this, and this, because scalpers and resellers are always going to find a way to, get even or get ahead. Not even, definitely try to go and get ahead in their spending. And the PS5 is 100% going to be a fucking holiday item this upcoming year. There's going to be so many people that want a PS5, and I'm sure that there are people out there that have had it since launch and they've been waiting for this moment, a whole ass year later to be like, all right, time to fucking rake in my dough if they haven't already, sort of thing.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, it said that the stock lasted between 90 minutes to 2 hours, which is a long time when you think about PS5 stock online, especially, like when it goes up on any website, that shit goes out instantly. Ever since after they put up the first like pre-order windows, like I said on previous episodes of the podcast, I managed to get 2. I didn't scalp the other one. I sold it to my friend/neighbor. So I didn't do anything scummy like that. But hey, now he has a PS5 and he doesn't have to worry about it. But yeah, I just think that them tacking this on as the sort of like season's hardest to find products is sort of scummy. I think having like deals and like coupons and things like that would have been fine, because you're already paying like $200 a year for the service. But them having exclusive access to these products is a little not okay in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Again, to me, it just feels like scalping, but like not, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how okay I feel with it in general. I don't know, like it just doesn't rub me the right way, I guess.
And like I haven't shopped at a Best Buy in a while just because of my current situation with my job, and I'm able to go and get games there for cheaper if I were to go there. So I'm just like Best Buy, I only go there if they have like an insane deal. But even then, like price matching stuff is like a thing. So I don't even have to go to Best Buy if I don't want to. But yeah, I mean, Best Buy as a chain, I think recently they've been getting better in terms of like profits and stuff like that. But I think that at a time they were gonna go under. But I think now with this thing, this isn't gonna hurt them at all. It's just gonna put more money in their pockets one way or the other. Either for the people that want the PS5s or for people that actually have no idea what the fuck they're doing with technology, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think this might be more geared towards like I think like people like us, you either have to be really desperate or like kind of just like a parent, and it's like, okay, I'll bite the bullet for my son who wants a PS5, and which is nice, but like, yeah, I really don't think this is like the best option. I still think you should just wait, until PS5s again are more readily available, more games are out. Like next year might be a good year to buy it because Horizon's gonna be out, God of War is probably gonna be out, so yeah, that'll probably be a better year to buy. Obviously, they're gonna like probably be harder to get because people actually want one. But hopefully Sony is able to get back to like producing more of these things. Now that COVID's starting to lift a little more and like more people are starting to like do things. So yeah, I guess we'll just see how the production plays out. But never. I feel like you should never really buy a thing if it's gonna worth more than its like asking price because I just feel like it's not worth it at that point.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you are willing to like pay the extra 200, you might as well just go on eBay because those prices are like 8 to 900, which is about what you're probably gonna pay with the Best Buy membership and everything like that. If you don't want the membership, obviously, but if you think the membership will be useful to you with the Apple Care and all of the other stuff, then go for it. Hopefully you can get a PS5 that way, but it's still a luck of the draw sort of thing.
Yeah, it's always going to be like that at the moment.
All right, so next bit of news. We haven't talked about League in a while, but this is kind of big news. So Riot Games has decided to patch out all chat in match-made League of Legends games and sort of test it out and see if it'll decrease toxicity. So yeah, I mean, as a person that has played League for a long time, I haven't played it in the past 2 years necessarily, but I think that all chat, me personally, I've always had all chat disabled anyways, just because people use that for like psychological warfare, like no fucking cap. Like people use that to like get into like people's heads and be like, or like, nice try, buddy, or some bullshit, like they're always like trying to talk shit. And like when I was playing League competitively and like trying to like be super serious about it, I didn't need that shit. I just need my team chat to like type in timers and like tell my team like this and this. So like removing all chat is going to be an interesting move, like entirely, like that is going to be so, because like before, like I had the option to like turn it off or turn it on. But now it's like, it's just not going to be there. So how are people going to be like, hey, like open mid, like we're fucking done, sort of thing. Or like, people do like to type like GG, good luck, have fun, all of this other stuff, which like, you can do that if you want. Personally, I'm not doing that extra effort, but yeah, I don't know. I just think that some people are definitely on like the super like high horse of like this is such a bad move, and like I'm sort of in the middle where I can see that it can be bad, but at the same time like I know that like people can be really fucking toxic and shit like that. But then again, like I get like the greatest fucking Twitter screenshots of like people bantering in all chat, and it's just the funniest shit I've ever seen. Just because I am a League player and I get the humor. But yeah, what is your opinion, Damian, as a person who has not played League longer than I have?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I used to play League like back in the day, and all chat always used to just be kind of just troll, like no one really cared, or just be like talking shit or whatever. And I mean, I guess it was fun, right? Like it's fun to like have some of that banter and stuff and just talk shit. But at the end of the day, is it really like if I was playing rank competitively, like taking the game super seriously, I also would just disable it, like because there's no point, right? Like all it does is get to your head and just screw you up. So there's no real reason to have it on at that point. And all chat in general kind of is always just going to be a toxic cesspool, like no matter what game you're playing, whether it be like like TF2 or whatever, or I don't even know if Overwatch had all chat. I don't think it did. But like anyway, like it just really serves no point besides just to talk shit. Like that's literally the only reason they exist in like team-based games. And I get that, like I get that's fun and stuff. Maybe they should keep it in like normal games or whatever. But I don't know. Like I think for the most part, it probably would help the health of the game in terms of toxicity. But again, I could also see why people would be angry about it leaving forever. I think like it's a net positive though in terms of like just helping game toxicity because League is a very very toxic game, and while
Mm-hmm.
all chat I think is gonna help just a little bit. Obviously you're still gonna get flamed by your teammates if you have their team chat on, which you kind of need a little bit. I mean, some people can just play with pings, right? But
Yeah, but I think
yeah.
them keeping team chat is a good idea, just
Oh
because
yeah.
there's definitely some things you can't communicate with pings, like timers and things like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. You definitely should
but
have team chat, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I know that emotes are becoming like a huge thing, and like emotes are still gonna pop up and shit. I fucking hate emotes. I hate them so much, bro. I don't mind it at like worlds and stuff because like that's funny. But when I'm playing and like someone in lanes like spamming their fucking emotes, I'm like, bro, shut the fuck up, stop it. But the end chat game will still be cross team, so you will still be able to be like, hey, can you report this guy because he was obviously inting and shit like that. But yeah, I think that this is a huge step for League. And I wonder on how this will affect the game and how people will take it, because I think that some people are just overreacting. Like you said, like if you are taking the game seriously, you wouldn't have it on to begin with, because before I would like gamble to see if like there's fucking psychos on the other team, and then the moment they type something, I'm muting them. But now I just have to do it with my own team. If I'm working with someone that's not all mentally there, just mute them and then just go on. And then if they're spam pinging me, I could mute their pings too. And the fact that they had to implement the muting of pings is kind of funny as well. But yeah, we're just gonna, like we say a lot on this show, we're just gonna have to wait and see on how this plays out, because I'm sure the League community will find one way or another to find this to be either a net negative or actually be better than they thought it was.
Yeah, because I mean, toxicity in online games is never gonna go away. Like, you can't just
Mm-hmm.
stop it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the main reason I don't really play competitive like online games anymore. Like the last one I really played was Overwatch, and I had fun, but damn man, that community was ass. Like holy shit, I got to platinum, I'm like I can't anymore. It's just too much, dude. It's just annoying. And yeah, I don't know. Like I appreciate Riot is trying to curb it a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's always gonna just be toxic because that's just how competitive play is. Like people get heated and people want to win, and when people want to win, they get toxic. So that's just kind of how it works. But I think having all chat off probably is for the best, and we're just gonna have to, yeah, like we said, wait and see how it plays out, and if it actually does end up helping the toxicity, which I think it will. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see for that.
Yeah, I wonder how people are gonna guess if it's open mid or not, because now you actually like can't tell. So
Yeah. All right, so next bit of news here. This is actually like just released. The Nintendo Online expansion price reveal. So yeah, the price is gonna be $50 a year, and what you get for that is like what they said in the direct. You're gonna be getting N64 games and Genesis games, but they're also adding in the new Animal Crossing DLC for quote unquote free with it. So this DLC for Animal Crossing is basically Happy Home Designer, but it's a DLC, which is really neat. We're not really gonna talk about the Animal Crossing stuff because there was a lot, and like we'll probably talk about it when it actually comes out. Like I might buy it just to see how it
Mhm.
is, but they just added a bunch of new shit, like a lot of stuff that I can't really comment on. But basically, I already saw on Twitter like I just saw $50 trending. I'm like, so yeah, I think $50 for basically just N64 games and Genesis games, and I guess DLC that would just go away if you don't keep paying for the subscription. At that point, it's probably just cheaper to just buy it outright for $25. It just seems like shit. I'd like to me anyway. Like,
Mhm.
obviously you can just emulate N64 games and Genesis games, and Nintendo is still doing the weird slow rollout of N64 games and Genesis stuff for some reason instead of it all just being out there in general.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I just overall just think don't it's not worth it, right? Like I just like a lot of people are right. Play these games a billion times, like Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Banjo Kazooie. Like, yeah, it's cool you can play it on your Switch and on the go and stuff. But is it really worth it at that point? I just don't think so. Especially for like 30 extra bucks.
Yeah, you're
So yeah,
paying more than double the year because you want to play N64 and Genesis games and the Animal Crossing DLC, which we're not talking about just because we're not Animal Crossing players and they announced a lot of shit and I don't Honestly, I didn't pay attention that much to it, other than the ending bit where they were like, "Yeah, it's $50." I was like, "What the fuck is this online
Yeah.
expansion bullshit?" But yeah, I mean, paying an extra $30 a year for some ROMs, it's kind of ballsy. I'm gonna be honest. But
Yeah.
they are implementing online for some of these games, which is gonna be fun. I'm gonna be honest. Just because before the whole worldwide lockdown, I bought a bunch of N64 controllers in Mario 64 or Mario Kart 64, and wanted all of us to play, and then we got shut down. So I don't know when that'll happen, or anything like that. But now we could do it online. Maybe if people are willing to pay the $50. I mean, I bought the fucking N64 controller just because, if I do happen to buy this, I want to play it with that shitty controller. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Nintendo's probably not going to lower it. No matter how much we're sort of like complaining about it, I'm sure that they're not going to lower it. If they actually happen to fix the Nintendo Online, which I doubt it, I wouldn't mind paying the extra money. But I'm sure Smash Online is going to be shit. Mario Kart Online is still going to be the same. I mean, Mario Kart Online doesn't really matter because it's not peer to peer. But fucking Smash Online is just so bad, man. Like even when I was playing it after Riptide, I was just playing Smash like randomly because I was just like, oh, like Smash is cool, and I'm fucking shit, but I'm just gonna play for fun and do some sort of 1v1 matches online. And oh my god, bro, the lag is just so crazy, and it's just so annoying that I'm still paying for this online $20 a year, which is like not a lot. It's not that big of a deal, but when it goes up to 50, just so I could play these fucking ROMs, that's gonna be interesting, and I'm sure it'll be worth it if they actually if future DLC things for other Nintendo games get added on top of this expansion pass. I'm not sure if that'll happen. If Splatoon 3 comes out and they come out with another single player DLC and that's part of the expansion pass, that's going to be nice. But right now, where it's just the Animal Crossing DLC and these ROMs or whatever, I keep calling them ROMs because that's what they fucking are. It's just not worth it to me right now. I'm probably still going to buy it at some point, just because that's just who I am. And I know myself. But yeah, I don't know if they're actually going to decrease the price because of all of this outcry, but I think $40 is a little more reasonable, but even then that's still a little high. But just because people know Nintendo people know that the online is shit, so when we're already paying for the shit online and we got to pay more, it's not going to be fun. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, it's like you really are just paying for N64 games and Genesis games. I was thinking about it because I'm like, oh, that's cool that they added DLC there, but I'm like, then I need to keep paying for this online service if I want to keep the DLC for Animal Crossing. So I'd rather
Mm-hmm.
just buy it outright. I think Sony, even though PS Plus isn't perfect either, I think it's way better than Nintendo online service. I don't even use online for PlayStation games, but you get deals, you get
Free
free
games.
games. You get usually it goes on discount every year too. So usually I don't even buy PS Plus for full price at all. Usually $60 a year. Usually buy it for $40 a year because usually they have some kind of sale for it in the middle of the year. So I usually just buy that. And Nintendo doesn't do that. It's just oh no, it's always $20 or it's always $50 a year. I think if they had sales on the online service like PlayStation did, I might be more inclined to buy it, but they probably won't. And Xbox just blows everything out of the water with their Game
Yeah,
Pass
Game
and stuff.
Pass. Oh my god.
Yeah, so you can get Game Pass and Xbox Gold in one. And I think it's still $60 if you want both of them, and that's great because obviously Game Pass is honestly one of the best deals you could get at the moment. And Nintendo just releasing this, it just makes them look like clowns. So yeah, definitely something. I was thinking about it with the Animal Crossing thing, but I'm like, nah, I'll just get the Animal Crossing DLC and just not bother with it. Again, like you said, if they include more DLCs with it, that would be more enticing. I think they should have just done that anyway. I think they should have included maybe the Breath of the Wild DLC or
Or the
some of the
Fighters
other
Pass.
DLCs. Or the fighter passes and stuff. I think that would have made it a lot more appealing to people who didn't buy those DLCs yet. Or maybe
Mm-hmm.
the what was that game called? Age of Calamity. They should have added some of that in there. That would have been worth it, I think. But as it is right now, I just don't think it's worth it in my eyes.
Yeah, and I know like Nintendo's very stingy with like their IPs and sort of like that Nintendo seal of quality and shit like that. But like when you're looking at your competition and they're just like, it's super hard to match Game Pass, but at least try to match Sony to a certain extent.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
them being like this, we're like, all right, guys, we got some Genesis ROMs and 64 ROMs, and then here's this Animal Crossing DLC. Hopefully, you're still playing Animal Crossing, by the way, after over a year. Hopefully, you're still playing that game. Now we got these Happy Home Paradise. So if you're interested in that, you can play that. But I'm like, you know, if I want to play these games now online with my friends in a setting that'll actually be somewhat stable, hopefully, because I'm sure that like there's ways to like emulate N64 ROMs and play them online on PC. Like there has to be at this fucking point. It's 2021. There has to be, right? But I'm not sure on how I feel about this, just because I want to play these N64 games online with my friends and sort of have fun with that, but it's fucking $50. So you're paying more than double than you already were for the shitty Nintendo Online. So yeah.
Yeah, at that point you might as well just like play Double Dash on like Dolphin and like download some netcode shit, like
Yeah.
or like try to get like Mario 64 on an emulator and use like Parsec and like just play it like that, because like there's just like I don't know, I just don't think it's worth it until they add more games or add additional services to it. Then I think it would be worth it. But yeah, like you said, at least they could just match up with Sony's like PS Plus, because I don't think PS Plus is amazing, but definitely better than this.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if Nintendo did start giving out like free games that are like over a year old, like I'm not saying give out fucking Metroid Dread or some shit like that,
Yeah.
because that game just came out, but like give out like launch titles like like Breath of the Wild or shit like that for like maybe a week or for the whole month, like what PlayStation does. And then you get people that have never tried a Zelda game before. They download it, they love it, they enjoy it. And guess what? When Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, you just secured another sale, sort of thing. And like that doesn't really come out of your pocket. I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things, it kind of does, because like they could have paid $60 for it. But then again, they might not have, sort of thing. So like there's that sort of like 50-50 flip or whatever that they're sort of like gambling on, that like, hey, maybe they would have bought it, maybe they wouldn't have. But like then again, it's like when you look at the competition for the online console services, it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah, exactly. Just again, like I said, it just makes them look like clowns because of like how much better the other two are doing in terms of this online service, and Nintendo still feels like they're just trying to figure it out. And we're used to that by now because Nintendo is like the old grandpa trying to like figure out how all this online stuff works. But at this point, it's kind of just like get your act together,
Yeah. All right, so next bit of news we got is Dragon Ball Super Superhero movie trailer. This is the New York Comic Con trailer. I did go to New York Comic Con and it was all right. So this trailer is a CG trailer of the next Dragon Ball movie, which I did not expect it to be CG. I guess we should have expected it to be CG because the first teaser for this new movie was a like CG Goku doing like cool poses, which is like all you need for Dragon Ball fans. Is like once they see Goku, they're like, I'm fucking in.
Yeah.
But the timeline for this movie is like kind of weird. So this movie takes place before Super and before the epilogue episode in Dragon Ball Z. So right before you see Goku versus Oob in like the tournament ring, this is where this movie takes place. So that's kind of weird and kind of interesting. The fact that we're having a sort of like Dragon Ball Super movie, but it's taking place in the Dragon Ball Z sort of timeline. I don't know. It's kind of weird. The name superhero when it's called Dragon Ball Super is also like kind of dumb, but it's Dragon Ball. I'm sure like the fans don't really care that much about the titles because like I said, once they see Goku, they're fucking pogging out of their mind and shit. And this is just the first trailer. It's not a lot going on here. We just saw like the new character, sort of like what the setup is going to be about. But I'm not sort of holding my breath that this is going to be better than the Broly movie, because the Broly movie wasn't CG. They did have CG elements in it, but it was mainly 2D animation and it was fucking beautifully animated, and it had Broly and it had Goku and Vegeta in like their Super God, Super Saiyan forms and shit like that, and it was hype. But this one seems it's taking a little bit of a step back in my opinion, but I guess I'm gonna have to see another trailer to really get impressed by it. But right now I'm kind of like, oh, it's another Dragon Ball movie, which we've had a bajillion of those at this point.
Yeah, I basically feel the same way. Like I told Travis before the podcast, I thought this was a trailer for the Kakarot game. I'm like, oh no, this is the new movie. I mean, the CG looks fine. I mean, like obviously, would I
Hmm.
prefer it to be 2D, like 100%. Like I usually don't bitch about CG in anime that much, unless it's like this,
Hmm.
where it's like the whole thing, and and it's not like Beastars or anything where like it was a very 3D, so like you can't really complain about it. And I think it looks good, Beastars, but so, like this, like you're used to obviously seeing Dragon Ball in 2D, and now it's like in 3D, and I'm so used to looking at the games, and it just looks like one of the video games now. So I'm like, oh, it's just a cutscene in one of the video games. But yeah, I guess in terms of like even scope, it feels kind of weird. Like at that point, it might as well just be called Dragon Ball Z superhero instead of Super. Like you know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
it's still kind of in the Z timeline. And after getting all the hype stuff like Broly and like even like Battle of the Gods and not really Resurrection F, that was okay, but their like scales were like a lot bigger and like they were really like fun and hype to watch. This one seems to be like kind of back to being like kind of on Earth, I guess, and looks like they're dealing with the Red Ribbon Army again, I think. So yeah, it's like all right, cool, I guess. It just I don't know. To me, it doesn't feel as hype as like some like the Broly movie or whatever, and I don't know. Dragon Ball's kind of in like a weird position now because it kind of ended. The Super ended. We got Broly, which I think was after Super, right? So I was kind of like
Hmm.
wondering if they were just gonna have like maybe a new movie like to start up the next, I guess, arc of Dragon Ball. Maybe have a different subtitle and everything to it, like Battle of the Gods did. But I guess not. And it also makes me a little concerned if the next Dragon Ball, if all future Dragon Ball projects are all going to be in CG now, which will take kind of adjustment to get used to. But I guess it's fine. I probably won't like. I'm not like crazy to watch it like it was with Broly. Where I'm like, oh, I got to see this. This one, I'm kind of just like whatever about it. So, um, I guess we'll see. I mean, I guess anime movies in general are always kind of like weird, right? Like some of
Yeah.
them you get really hyped for, some of them you don't. Like Dragon Slayer, what the fuck? No, Demon Slayer was that was a great movie because it could I kind of it's weird, right? Because anime movies that continue the main story are usually like hype to me because I like care more, right? Because
Hmm.
it all matters. Obviously it sucks that Demon Slayer is kind of recapping everything from like the first 7 episodes for season 2,
Yeah, so they're
which is
not
a little
alienating anyone.
which is a little sucky. I think they should just put the movie as part of like the season. Like I'll just watch it like that. um but whatever. Same thing with the Jujutsu Kaisen. It, like is doing like sort of like a prequel movie. I think that's pretty cool as well because
Hmm.
that's also supposed to be like important to like the lore. But then you have things like the My Hero movies or like the Dragon Ball movies where they don't really matter that much. Like yes, they're canon, but like most of them don't really matter. Obviously the newer Dragon Ball movies matter, like Battle of the Gods and Resurrection F and
But
Broly.
even then, in Dragon Ball Super, they recap those.
Yeah, but then they recap them anyway, so what's even the point? I already watched a movie, which is going to be the better version anyway. Why are you recapping it like a worse version of it? But whatever. I digress. I'm gonna probably watch it anyway, but yeah, not very hyped for it.
Yeah, I mean, like, you say that this looked like Dragon Ball Kakarot. When I first saw it, I think I told you this.
Like bursting limit or whatever.
No, I thought it was the Team Four Star, like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dragon Ball Z shorts. Like, all right,
Yeah.
guys, go on Team Four Star's YouTube channel. They have like these DBZ shorts that are all like CG and like done with their voice cast. They're funny. Like, those clips are like very
Oh
funny.
yeah.
When I saw this trailer, this is my first thought that it was. I was like, what the fuck is this? But, like you said, I have a very similar opinion when it comes to CG in anime. I don't mind it as long as it doesn't look too terrible. And sure, there are very clear cases of when it does look bad. The Demon Slayer movie, I thought it looked all right, but some people were like, "Oh, it looks like shit," and I'm like, yeah. There's only so much that they can do. But this movie being all CG. I'm sure that they're just testing the waters and seeing on how it'll work. And this is going to be the first Dragon Ball movie that's fully CG, I believe. So we'll just see where it goes from there. I just want to see a second trailer, to be honest, because I feel like I didn't get a lot from this first one. It's only like 30, 40 seconds or something like that. So,
Yeah, a second trailer will probably help, like the hype, but yeah, we're just gonna have to wait for that at this point.
mhm.
All right, so last bit of news here. We got some Spider-Man No Way Home news because it never ends. So Tom Holland basically just answered some questions for Entertainment Weekly. He confirmed that Doc's arms are going to be CG, so more CG. Saying that Doc Ock's actor had to adjust from it being puppets to CGI. I didn't even know they were puppets. I always thought they were like CGI in Spider-Man 2. I
Mhm.
think I know that some scenes they were probably were puppets, but I don't know. I thought it was always just CGI, so that's pretty impressive that they were
Yeah,
able to.
I think the sort of like close-up shots where like he's talking to the arms, I think those are puppets because Sam
Oh,
Raimi's a goddamn filmmaker and that's what he does. So
Yeah, and I think that's cool. Obviously practical effects are pretty much gone. Like a lot of people just use CG now, and
Hmm.
it doesn't really matter anymore because CG looks really good now. So it's not as like immersion breaking as back in the early 2000s or even like 2010s where it, like kind of looks a little like janky. Like
Hmm.
nowadays, like I really don't care if most movies are CGI because it just looks just as good as practical effects at this point. But anyway, basically, Tom Holland here is saying that it's an opportunity to pay tribute to previous iterations of the character, but also taking Peter in a new direction. So basically, he's saying like this movie is sort of like, it really feels like he's saying, yeah, the other Spider-Man are gonna be in this. Because what else does he mean by that? Like, pay tribute to previous incarnations of the character. Like Tom Holland can't do all of them, so obviously the other Spider-Man are gonna be in this movie.
Hmm.
And
Hopefully.
I guess yeah, and taking Peter in a new direction. I wonder what that means. Probably like Tom Holland Spider-Man, right? Like he's probably gonna be doing something
Yeah.
weird in this movie. Am I in like just from my interpretation of what he's saying here?
Hmm.
Um.
I think that with the next quote, I'll read it real quick.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
We were all we were all treating No Way Home as the end of the franchise. Let's say, he adds, I think we were lucky enough to dive into these characters again. Uh, God damn it. Am I fucking misreading this? Oh my God. You'd be seeing a very different version. It would no longer be the Homecoming trilogy. We would give it some time and try to build something different and tonally change the movies. Whether that happens or not, I don't know, but we were definitely treating No Way Home like it was coming to an end, and it felt like that. So, my theory with that statement, I mean, obviously, the end of a trilogy, it's the fucking third movie. Of course, it's going to be the end of a trilogy. But what I think he means by like, diving into these characters again, and it's going to be like totally different, is people are hoping that they're going to do Tom Holland Spider-Man, but in college. And I think that would be interesting, just because we haven't had a Spider-Man go fully through high school and then go into college. But even then, like most of Tom Holland's movies, he's not really like in high school. He's doing like a whole bunch of like other bullshit. And this movie, it's gonna be like into the Spider-Verse. Hopefully, the last movie he was in fucking Europe, and then the first movie was, for the most part, he was in high school. I will give it up there. But him going to college, I think that could be a interesting take, because I know Tom Holland loves this character and he loves playing Spider-Man. So, and people love seeing him as Spider-Man, even what people on Twitter may, naysay, if you will. But yeah, I think that this being the end of the sort of like Homecoming trilogy is good. And hopefully, if or when they jump back into Tom Holland Spider-Man, it'll be totally different because, the sort of like goofy high school antics is, getting kind of old. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's time to like sort of like change, how he acts. Like, I mean, it's like that with every Spider-Man like trilogy except Amazing Spider-Man because he didn't get a third movie. But it's always good to sort of change the character. Either make a new series of Spider-Man or just change how Tom Holland Spider-Man is going to be. So probably him going to college would be kind of a cool idea. Maybe have him mature a bit. Take being Spider-Man more seriously or whatever. I think that'd be a nice like sort of development to his character, and we can see what happens from there. Or maybe Spider-Man is just done after this movie. I don't know. Like maybe they'll like give him another rest and like make a new one. I don't know. But it's gonna be interesting to see what happens after this movie because they really are treating it like sort of like an end to this. And Spider-Man's always been a unique case in terms of Marvel because he feels oddly bigger than Avengers, whereas like his movies like matter, I guess, a lot more individually. Like, obviously, I think Far From Home, probably didn't hit as hard as like Spider-Man 2 or anything like that. But
Hmm.
they still like feel like their own separate thing compared to the Avengers movies. Like they're part of the MCU, but they also could stand on their own more. I think than something like Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3. You know what I mean? Like those
Yeah.
movies, like who really cares unless you're like caring about the MCU, right? Like Spider-Man movies always a big event, so. Seeing them treating this like really seriously, like giving probably a lot of fan service and just concluding things that makes me happy to hear as just a Spider-Man fan in general. And hopefully it's just like a big celebration of the characters, like just movie appearances. Like I do want to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Seeing all these other villains and stuff. Like I don't know. I hopefully they do it right because there's a lot of hype for this movie now, and if they don't deliver, then people are gonna be very angry.
And even if they don't deliver, they're still going to make a shit ton of money because it's
True.
Spider-Man. But yeah, I mean, Tom Holland's iteration of Spider-Man, we've talked about it multiple times on this
Yeah.
podcast, at different points. And one of our friends, Jeffrey, he was just like talking to me about it, just like randomly. And like, I think the very interesting and weird thing about Holland Spider-Man is that like, because of circumstances, because of how he was brought into the MCU through Captain America Civil War, I said that like, if he wasn't in that movie, the movie doesn't really change. And like, the reason why they brought him in there is because, well, they got him. So like they might as well put him in there and, boost up the box office numbers just a little bit, but also at the same time, introduce the audience to Spider-Man, this version of Spider-Man. In every single movie that has the solo Tom Holland movies, it's always sort of tied back to the MCU in some way, but that's just how the MCU works. But at the same time, there are some MCU movies that don't tie super heavily compared to the Spider-Man movies, if you get what I'm saying. Because like, the first Spider-Man movie, Homecoming, that was all about the Vulture and how Tony Stark fucked him over. The second one, it's very much about Tony's death and how Peter is dealing with that. And then with this one, it's dealing with the Spider-Verse, and Doctor Strange is somehow involved in it. And because of that, the sort of like, interdimensional bullshit, it's going to affect the rest of the MCU as well. And I'm sure that's because of things that happen in the other Disney Plus shows. So, this version of Spider-Man is very much heavily attached to the MCU. And, that is a good and bad thing, depending on how you look at it. And I think that with the cards that Marvel and Sony were dealt, because they sort of had to like insert Spider-Man in a fucking Captain America movie and not like as like his own character first. I think that they did a pretty good job so far. Hopefully No Way Home doesn't ruin that, but I think that everything that's surrounding No Way Home, and there's rumors that we'll get a trailer by the end of this month or the 1st of November and shit like that. There's always news about Spider-Man No Way Home because this movie is so hyped and so anticipated that it's honestly out of this world at this point.
Yeah, and they've been keeping it such a secret about like all the different things in it that I'm just ready to watch it. I really hope they probably are gonna show Toby and Andrew in the
Yeah.
in the trailer, just because why wouldn't they? But I kind of hope they don't. Like, I kind of want it to just be a mystery the whole time, even though we kind of know what's gonna happen at this point. I think that would be really neat, but I guess we're just gonna have to see because I think this movie is gonna be a movie. You if you're a Spider-Man fan,
You're probably gonna watch it anyways.
Yeah, you're gonna watch it anyway. Like, we're gonna watch it, so like, yeah, it's gonna be hype. I hope. I really hope it's gonna be good. And I just want to watch it. Right? I just want.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the rumors, the everything about this movie since like 2 years ago or a year ago. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
ever
ready
since
for this
Jamie
movie to come
Foxx
out.
was announced.
Yeah, ever since he did that oopsie, like that we've just been like just on this. So I'm ready to watch it and like give our whole thoughts about it. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, and I think that that second trailer, whenever it does drop, we're 100% going to be seeing Toby and Andrew if they are in the movie to begin with. Just because, Sony with the Spider-Man trailers, I think Homecoming was a clear example that they just showed too much. They pretty much gave away like the entire plot, which was fine. There were still some surprises in there, like the Vulture's reveal and shit like that. But I'm sure that this second trailer, we're probably going to see all three Spider-Man in some shot if they're all in the movie, obviously. So, gonna keep holding my breath, and whenever that trailer drops, we are 100% gonna discuss it. But moving on from there, we're gonna talk about our recent activities. So, do you want to talk about Dread first, or do you want to save that for later?
We could save that for later since we both played it. I finished it and you played a bit, so we could
yeah.
start to do that.
So I'll let you go first because once again I got a big ass list.
All right, so I guess I've actually been playing a lot. Well, yeah, basically a lot of new games. But look, my wallet's been crying because I've been basically buying like every new game because like every new game has been like things I wanted. So New World, I actually wasn't gonna buy this at launch. I was gonna wait a little bit before buying it. But one of our friends, Jeffrey, he was super into it. I'm like, you know what? I'll play a bit. I was gonna play it anyway. New MMO, I always like those. And basically the way I could describe New World is it probably is the most 6, 7 out of 10 game I've played. But it's pretty fun. I think it does fulfill that niche of MMOs that I've never found too engaging because they've always been full of super like microtransactions and stuff. And that's more the lifestyle PvP type of MMO. The two main MMOs I play being Guild Wars 2, less so, and Final Fantasy 14, which I play a lot. those two games are theme park MMOs, more focused on PvE type stuff, raids, dungeons, all that good stuff, story. That's kind of what I like in my MMOs. I'm not too big into the PvP side of things or like crafting or gathering, even though those games have those as well. New World really focuses on that PvP and like sort of lifestyle type of gameplay, and it's always something I want to get into. Another famous example of an MMO like that is Black Desert, and I've given that game plenty of shots, but damn man, I just can't get into Korean MMOs just because they're always so pay to win. Like I just can't. Like the combat's really fun in BDO, the exploration is really nice, the graphics are great, but damn man, the pay to win just ruins it for me. It's kind of why I can't get into Genshin Impact as well, just because it's too much like actual money involved. It just takes away the fun for me. New World kind of has that, but it's not pay to win. You just buy the game for $40, which is actually a really good deal because you do get a lot of gameplay out of this game, and that's it. You kind of just have it. No sub fee or anything. Just play the game. And I know at launch people were having a lot of issues with queue times. That's just to be expected. I know Amazon could have done better with server infrastructure and just space because they're fucking Amazon, like I said before. But I think for the most part, people should expect server issues and stuff whenever a new MMO comes out. I mean, that's just basic knowledge at this point. Again, should they have done better? Yes, but also it's a new goddamn MMO. Like I don't know what people expected. In terms of the game itself, the reason why I say it's like a 6 or 7 is because it still feels like it's not supposed to be like they made the game, even though the game is primarily focused again on PvP and lifestyle type stuff. It's still trying to be a PvE MMO where you have questing and you level into some dungeons and stuff, and that's definitely the weakest part of the game because apparently all this stuff was added like a year before the game came out. Like they just, like, I think Amazon noticed that sandbox PvP games just aren't that popular because they more appeal to the hardcore crowd and not really the casuals. So like, okay, we have to add some kind of PvE in here. So they added all of that last minute, and it really shows. Like you basically just fight zombies and like bears and wolves the whole fucking time. Like that's all you do to level up. All the quests are just like gather this, do that, go over here. Very standard MMO quests. And the dungeons, while they're fun, are pretty like straightforward. You just go through some hallways, you fight some things as a team. Again, it's fun because you're playing with other players and you can synergize with each other. But for the most part, it's things I've seen before, and I think games like Guild Wars 2 probably done all this better anyway. But I still think the things New World does do well is the things that it was originally meant to be. Like I didn't play too much of the PvP yet because I'm just gonna get like screwed over by people that are like 40 levels higher than me. But the lifestyle type stuff, just gathering stuff, cutting wood, just crafting things, is honestly a lot more fun than I thought. I love games like Stardew Valley and Terraria and like Stardew Valley. I think I said that. Slime Rancher, I mean. I like those chill games like that, and this game sort of like has that nice, relaxing feeling to it too. The world is beautiful. Like I think this is one of the better looking MMOs out at the current moment. Obviously, it makes sense because it's newer. And just the sheer scale of the world is also very impressive. Like it really does feel like I'm running around like this medieval world and stuff. It is really impressive, honestly. Like the lighting is really nice. Like I really do like the art direction as well, going for this more, I guess, Van Helsing type art style where you got like rifles and like these cool trench coats and shit. Like it does look really cool. Um, and the combat's fun as well. The combat's more, I guess, akin to Dark Souls, where you have your dodge roll, you have 3 abilities: heavy attack, light attack, things like that. Yeah, it's pretty fun. I do think you need more abilities in a weapon. So right now you can have 2 weapons and you can swap to either one, and they have 3 abilities each. I do think that's a little too low amount of abilities. I think add 5 abilities to each weapon and we're good. I think 10 active abilities on you on any given moment is like probably for the best because combat can feel very repetitive. With just
Mhm.
having 3 active abilities, it's just yeah. I think you just need at least 2 more abilities per weapon. But besides that, I think the game has a good base. Like I think Amazon could really get going here. They could add more structured PvP instead of being just all open world because that's sort of an issue. Add more end game because currently I don't think there really is much of an end game just yet. Like raids or whatever. Um, but yeah, I think they should just lean more into the PvP side of things. So I think that's what the game excels at. Even though I'm a PvE player, I think this game is more structured to be a PvP game. So I think the least they could do, probably the thing that would take the less amount of time, is having just some sort of like structured instance PvP, and I think this game will be like good to go, honestly, because it is pulling some high numbers. So, hopefully Amazon got something here. I'm liking it a decent amount. I'll probably be I'll probably try to get to max level. It's taking forever, but I'll probably play more of it and get to max level and just wait for new concepts to come out. Because again, has a good base. Hopefully Amazon doesn't mess us up. So yeah. That was long. So, Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. So this is I guess, the remake of Monkey Balls 1 and 2 in one
Hmm.
game, and it's really good. So I really like Monkey Ball. I never played the original two Monkey Balls, ironically enough, the best ones in the series, just because I never found it for GameCube when I was younger, and I just didn't really care. I guess it wasn't until Banana Blitz, which is the one everyone hates, when I actually got into the series, and I'm like, oh, this is fun. Then I got like the DS one and then the 3DS one, and I really enjoyed them a lot. And then the series kind of just went away for a while. And then this game came out. Well, actually, they made a remake of Banana Blitz, but no one really cared. But now they made this, and I think they did a good job. I think the game runs really well. I have it on Switch. The game runs well, which you would expect, because it's just Monkey Ball. It's not like that crazy. And yeah, you basically get what you get. You get remix. I guess the remakes of Monkey Balls 1 and 2. You just get some levels from the DX version of 1, which I believe was like just a port back in the day, and it had some new levels. You get that as well. You also get just a bunch of other content. Like, you get some special modes, like Dark Banana mode, where it's like if you touch any banana, you die. Or there's one where it's like collect every banana or you die. There's some reverse stages. Like, there's just a crap ton of content in this game. I'm actually very impressed by the amount of stuff they added. Obviously, you can get skins with in-game currency you get by completing levels. You can play as Sonic Tails. You can play as Kiryu from Yakuza and Beat
Hmm.
from Jet Set Radio. It's really weird. You can also play as like Morgana from Persona 5. I think that's DLC coming later. It's really weird. But yeah, you can tell Sega did put some effort into this, which is really nice. I know some people are kind of sour about the Sonic Colors Ultimate being not the best. I definitely think they put a lot more attention to the Banana Mania right here, because it does have a ton of content, and it does seem like they really did care about Monkey Ball instead of like Sonic Colors. It feels kind of more of a rush job. I know some people are complaining about the physics. I know I didn't play enough. I didn't play like any Monkey Ball 1 or 2, so I can't really comment on that. But some people say, oh, the physics aren't quite right. So yeah, maybe if you're that person, don't buy it. But I think for any more casual Monkey Ball player, I think this is great. I've been having a ton of fun. The game is hard as shit, like Monkey Ball should be. Like, it took me like an
Hmm.
hour to beat like one level. I'm like, God, please kill me. But it's like a ton of fun. Monkey Ball has always been a fun series for me, and I'll be happy enough to support the series, because it's great, and I hope Sega makes more. Like I said, we said in the podcast before, Sega has a ton of IPs just don't use, and I hope like the sales of this like remake will just make them make more Monkey Ball, and hopefully just do like a Jet Set Radio and some other shit. So yeah, really happy about this. And next, last thing I've been playing, Kingdom Hearts 1. Yeah, I'm finally playing this because, Sora got released in Smash. And Kingdom Hearts is always a series I've always wanted to get into, even when I was younger. I remember always going to like Blockbuster, right? And I've
Hmm.
always seen it for rent. Like, I remember that box art for the first game. Always looks so cool. I'm like, that looks really cool. And then I just never rented it. I just like rented like Shadow the Hedgehog instead. So and I kind of regret that. But now I'm finally playing it. It's really easy to play this series now. Everything's on PS4. You don't have to play on your DS or your 3DS or your PSPs. Now everything's on PS4. You play the whole story right there. And I've already I had it on PS4 for a while, so I'm like, okay, let's just jump in. So I have about like 15 hours of every Kingdom Hearts 1. I started like a week ago. And yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, the first game isn't like too crazy. It's basically just like Sora and like his friends get separated, and the whole game is just you trying to find them, and that's about it. Like, it's not too much in terms of storytelling yet, which is fine, because I know the story gets absolutely dumb and insane later. So that's gonna be fun to go through. But right now it's pretty. It's just a kid going through Disney worlds and sealing some keyholes, and that's about it. And it's pretty fun. There's a ton of nostalgia for anyone that played like Final Fantasy 7 or 8. There's a lot of those characters in there. Obviously, if you watch any of the 90s Disney movies like we have, probably, like, there's a ton of nostalgia there. Like, when I was going through the Aladdin world, I was like, yeah, this shit hits. This is sick. Come on, Aladdin, let's go free Jasmine from Jafar. Like, that's pretty sick. In terms of combat, it's not too crazy yet. And again, like I said, the future Kingdom Hearts games get insane with the combat, and it looks so fun. This game is pretty straightforward. You jump, you can attack with X, and you can use some spells with like the sort of command deck you have to the left of you. And yeah, you just could cast any fire, healings type stuff, all from Final Fantasy. And it plays pretty fun. It's not too crazy just yet. You're mostly just mashing X most of the time, but it's pretty fun for what it is. I know the series gets crazier, so I'm not going to be too harsh on it because, again, I know they improve on it. And, usually first games in the series are always going to be a little rusty in terms of like game mechanics and stuff. But for what's here, it's pretty fun and addicting. I really like, leveling up Sora. It's just like any RPG, really. But the thing that this game does differently from the other games is it kind of plays more like a 3D platformer with really bad platforming.
Yeah.
I remember this is what turned me off when I actually did play a bit of Kingdom Hearts 1 when the PS3 remakes came out. Like a while ago, and I played like an hour, and the control, like Sora controls like shit, and then just stopped. And that's still true. Like I think Sora's platforming controls are not good. He's very floaty, and it just doesn't feel great. Like he could grab ledges, which is nice, but the game does actually do a lot more platforming than I would like. Again, it's nothing too bad that would like kind of stop you from playing the game, but it's definitely not the strong suit of the game. The combat definitely is the stronger point, which I'm glad Square saw that and just made the other games like full action RPGs. But yeah, from what I'm playing, it's really fun. It definitely has that first game syndrome where it's like pretty different from the rest of them, and it obviously gets better as the games go on. But for what it is, I'm having a ton of fun, nice and nostalgic. Just a nice game to play right now, and I'm enjoying it. I want to get into this series. It's been a series a long time coming for me, and I just want to play through all of them. So yeah.
All right.
That's about
it. Before we get into Dread, I got a whole lot of shows and manga I've been reading and watching. So
yeah.
Squid Game, Netflix. I mean, what can I say about the show that hasn't already been said? It's really good. I wouldn't say it lives up to the hype because it's kind of hard to live up to a hype where literally everyone on fucking Netflix is watching it. But if you haven't watched it yet, watch it. It's really good. And I think once you get the premise and sort of understand what the show's trying to do, you'll probably get behind it, hopefully. And just like a quick rant, like if you watch this shit with fucking English dub, what the fuck are you doing? Please God, do not watch an English dub. The moment you hear the English voices, you should instantly change it to the Korean voices and just read the subtitles. I don't give a fuck if you're doing other shit in the background. Watch the fucking show then. Don't put on Squid Game and then be like, oh, I'm doing other shit. Oh, I did watch Squid Game. No, you didn't. You didn't watch it because you heard these shitty English voices and you weren't even giving the show your full attention. That's just my little rant. People.
Yeah, go on.
No.
I was just gonna say I didn't finish it yet, so I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't finish it.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, yeah. But it kind of defaults. I think it defaults to the dub,
yeah.
right?
So like, if you don't watch a lot of foreign shows on Netflix or like anime or whatever, it'll default to English. So like, some people just like had it on there, and I'm like, you don't think that this sounds like garbage or what? Like,
yeah. So usually I defend dubs most of the time. Like, I usually don't think they're as bad as people say or whatever. But that's because they're anime, right? I feel like it's easier to disassociate their nationality when they're just a goddamn animated character and it doesn't really matter that much to me. However, when it comes to real people, it's really distracting, and yes, it sounds bad, mostly because they sound like anime characters. It's like really weird. So yeah, if you're gonna watch this, don't watch a dub. Usually I kind of advocate for dubs. Like I watch most anime like half sub or dub, like wherever I feel like it. But yeah, this is definitely something you don't want to do. I think watching anyone like real people, if it's like a B movie like Godzilla, then sure. Like I did that when I was younger because I didn't care because I want to watch Godzilla. But if it's like a more story-based thing like this, yeah, definitely watch it with Korean subs.
Yeah,
I mean, like watch it with Korean voice and English subs. That's what I meant. Yeah.
My God, man, just seeing the clips on Twitter of like the voices, I'm like, it gets this fucking bad. Oh my God, like holy shit. But yeah, Squid Game's super good. Watch it if you haven't already. We'll talk about it more when Damian finishes it.
Yeah.
Sex Education season 3 I watched after this. This was a nice palate cleanser because this show is fucking ridiculous and funny, and very wholesome. It's a coming of age sort of show about these kids in high school, and there's a lot of sex going on. And this is the third season. I just love these characters so much that I didn't realize that like the season wasn't as good as the other ones. Just seeing them do their high school shit, them getting into relationships, this and that. I'm just fucking all in on this show, and hopefully the next season is the last one because it is getting a little stale, and I don't want the show to go on for too long. But yeah, if you haven't watched Sex Education, like just watch the first episode, and if it's up your alley, it's up your alley. If you're not laughing and sort of like freaking out at like the shit that's going on, because I was definitely doing that when I was watching season 3. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Why is this happening? This and that. But yeah, definitely a nice palate cleanser, especially after watching Squid Game. The Ninja Turtles 2003 cartoon, because this is gonna sound hella fucking random. So, when I was at New York Comic Con, this was the only thing I bought. I bought a bootleg Blu-ray of the entire series of the 2003 Ninja Turtles. So the reason I did this is because there's no official release of the entire series on DVD. If you want to get the entire series on DVD, you kind of have to like piece some like shitty like DVDs together that have like episodes 1, 2, 3, then 7, 9 or some shit, and it's like weird. So I just decided to just buy the Blu-ray of this bootleg because I'm like, well, I kind of want to watch it in kind of HD, but not really. Like I knew what I was getting myself into, but I got through like half of the first season and then I stopped because I was like, oh shit, I gotta like do homework. So yeah, I have a huge nostalgia sort of factor with this show because I just grew up with it. I love these turtles. I love this show. Even as I was like getting older, like as a kid, I was still watching this show just because I loved it that much. I love these characters. Season 4 is still like one of my favorite seasons of the show because it's just so much darker. And like the reason why this show is also good from like a non like bias perspective, I guess, is that like it's more faithful to the comics, which is like a huge plus for me. And because of that, it is darker, and season 4 is definitely the darkest season of this show. There's 7 seasons, by the way, so it's gonna be a while before I actually finish it, but just rewatching half of the first season was super duper fun. My Hero Academia season 5 I finished. It was all right. I mean, as a manga reader, I'm going to be that fucking guy right now. As a manga reader, like I knew what I was getting myself into. So like I knew how like it was going to end and like what it's building up to. So I think the next season is going to be pretty hype. But then again, I kind of said that going into this season, but I think the way that they executed it was sort of like going like taking like the first half of the season being like, or like most of the season being like, hey, it's a class 1A versus class 1B or whatever, and then like the last couple of episodes are like the My Villain stuff, which like the My Villain stuff in my opinion is kind of cool. When I was reading it in the manga, it was like super duper dope, like just like learning about the villains and like their backstory and like seeing the artwork. But obviously when it was adapted into the anime, it's not going to look as good, which is like to be expected. But like I felt like the execution of it wasn't all there. I'm gonna be that fucking guy right now. I think I just like reading My Hero more because I could read it at my own pace and it's not as slow compared to the anime. But I think that's just how, going from manga to anime is always. When you read a manga, you could read it at your own pace. And then with a anime, you sort of have to, you're at the will of how fast or how slow the show's going. So, but, My Hero season 5, it was all right. I think it's kind of on par with the last season, which, is a good or bad thing because, season 4, it was super duper hype with the overhaul stuff, and then like the second half was like the festival stuff, which like when we called that filler, I still remember the guy that commented on that episode was like, that's actually not filler, and like he is right, that shit was not filler, that shit was actually canon. But
that's why I said I'm like it's filler canon where it's like but I mean I also didn't mind it, like I enjoyed watching it for what it was, but I know it's not technically filler because it's like it was in the manga, but it kind of is filler. You know what I mean, even if it is canon.
Oh my god, the one filler episode in season 5 with Ochaka and them doing like this mission, when I was watching it, because I read the manga, I was like, is this fucking filler? And then I looked it up and I was like, it is fucking filler. And like when I told Kofi and Louis, they were like, wait, that was filler? I was like, yeah, that was fucking filler. Can you not tell the fucking story started and then it ended the same episode? I was like, I can't believe I watched this fucking filler episode during like my fucking study break. Anyways, My Hero season 5, like I said, it's mid, as people would say. Demon Slayer season 2 has started. Only the first episode is out right now, and that was sort of to like build up Rengoku's character, and just seeing Ufotable's animation again, like that was just all worth it, honestly. Like this is 100% a fucking filler episode, but because I just love Demon Slayer so much, seeing Ufotable's animation again, getting to know Rengoku just a little bit more, seeing how he gets onto the Mugen train, just seeing all of that stuff, I was all in. Like I 100% when I'm rewatching this Mugen Train stuff, I'm gonna be fucking fanboying all the way through, despite me knowing what happens like already. I'm gonna have so much fun with Demon Slayer season 2 because I never watched Demon Slayer week to week because when I watched it, it's already been like a couple years since it was out, or maybe a year. So now I get to watch it every single Sunday, and that's gonna be a lot of fun. After the Rain, the manga, I finished it. And it is definitely a lot better than the anime because the anime cuts a lot of stuff out. But the anime and the manga have like a similar ending in a sense. It's not the same, but it's similar. But if you want, like, if you like the anime of After the Rain and you want more, read the manga from start to finish. You'll see like a couple of more stories and more development for the characters, and you'll probably get a lot more enjoyment out of the manga than the anime. Just because, like I said, they flesh more stories out, they flesh more characters out, and yeah, it was fun reading it. I really enjoyed it. Definitely happy that I'm able to finish a manga series because a lot of the manga that I'm reading is like ongoing shit. So, and speaking of ongoing stuff, My Dress Up Darling. This is the manga about this girl that likes cosplay, and then this guy that he like sews clothes for like dolls or whatever, and he feels embarrassed about it. But it's a wholesome, cute relationship, so that's why I'm reading it. And I recently bought volume 4 because it was at Kinokuniya in the city, so I was just like, all right, now I could actually read volume 4, which I believe is the latest volume in print. But that's about it. So now let's talk about Metroid Dread. Do you want me to go first because I'm still like within like the first impressions phase, and you sort of like finished it? So
yeah, you could, you talk about your first impressions, and I'll just like add on to about not spoiling too much.
All right, so first impressions. What can I say? It's been a long time since I played a Metroid game, and I think the first one that I really played was the last one I played, which was Samus Returns on the 3DS, and this is made by the same studio, Mercury Steam, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like I could definitely tell by that with the whole like parry thing, I was definitely fucking that up a lot. The goddamn EMMIs, motherfuckers.
Emmys?
Oh my, yeah, bro. I swear to God, every single last night when I was playing it, I was like, bro, I fucking hit it. No fucking cap, bro. It's the fucking delay on the Joy-Cons, but it's a lot of fun. I'm gonna be honest, and like, with like Metroidvania games, I'm always scared and like intimidated that like I'm gonna get fucking stuck, which like I haven't yet. But I'm sort of like moving my way through. Once I realize that like I'm going in a circle within an area, I'm like, all right, I have to advance to this next area. And I literally just got to the place with like all of the rooms that is like super fucking high in temperature or whatever.
Yeah,
so like, I'm like going into a room. Oh shit, I can't be in here. Go out. And like it's a lot of fun. Like exploring, doing the sort of parry attacks on the Emmys. Despite me dying like at least like 20 times last night, and I'm sure you've died a lot more than me, hopefully. And I've seen people on Twitter tweet about like, man, I never get that fucking parry. I just like accept my death, and I'm like, you know what? That's fair. That's fucking fair. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun just like getting upgrades, defeating the bosses. The first boss did give me some trouble because I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? But trial and error as always. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And people that are saying that this is their game of the year, I am not surprised, just because this game seems really, really well polished, and I cannot wait to see what happens by the end of it. I mean, like story-wise, I'm not like too invested, but I feel like like the upgrade and like the progression on all of that other stuff is gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I basically feel the same way you did. Like, I've only been able to pull off that counter against the Emmy maybe like a handful of times. Like, the timing is very hard, and it's not like always the same timing too. Like, each Emmy like has a different timing, and I think they have different animations of how they like kill you. So like, it always keeps switching the timing. So you're probably gonna die like a lot to that unless you could just avoid them, which you should. But yeah, I honestly think the Emmy were like a super cool addition to the game. At first, I wasn't too sure how much I would like it because I'm like, oh, that kind of breaks the pace of the game. Like you kind of gotta go slow and take time. But most of the time, they're gonna see you and you're gonna run your ass like to the other side of the door. So honestly, it makes it for like some really like high thrill like gameplay right there. And I really did enjoy that aspect of the game a lot. Obviously, the normal Metroid stuff is really awesome as well. You know, going room to room, figuring out where you're going, getting upgrades, that stuff is always really fun. And I actually find that this game really does guide you in a nice way organically, where it's like, hey, you should go this way because you can't go the other way, and there's a door here and the elevator right there. You should go there.
Hmm.
I think that game does that really well. I think Super Metroid also did that really well. Um, but this game also like closes off a lot of areas where you can't be in yet. Like the game will like maybe close it from like some sort of debris in your way or some other thing, so it kind of guides you to that direction where you're supposed to go. So I think the game definitely like it doesn't have any way markers or anything like telling you where to go, but it does a pretty good job on like telling you where to go. So if that makes any sense. In general, I think the combat is fantastic. You know, I love the Samus Returns on 3DS, but I did feel like my hands got really cramped by the end of it because there were so many buttons. This game also basically uses like every button on the Pro controller, but again, I'm using a controller this time, so the combat just feels so tight, and I really enjoyed it. I think if there's one thing Metroid always kind of lacked on, at least the 2D games, was definitely the combat and the boss fights, and I think this game and Samus Returns have some of the best bosses in the series at this point. Again, I didn't play the Prime games just yet, but just some of the other 2D games, it blows their combat and bosses out of the water, especially the bosses in this game. They're all fantastic. Like they're all these like multi-phase bosses with a bunch of different patterns to learn and stuff. And it might seem kind of like overwhelming at first, especially the final boss. Like I know a lot of people are complaining about the final boss, but if you just take it slow, learn his patterns, you know, counter at the right time, it feels really rewarding to get through those boss fights, and they're definitely my favorite part of the game. I think the game presents the right amount of challenge. Like it's not overly hard like a lot of other people say, but it's not too easy either. Like it's just a nice amount of like difficulty to really, you know, get your blood pumping, I guess. And it really rewards you for going out of your way to gain every single item, right? Like I 100%
Yeah.
in the game, and you know, I felt like I could have used all those e-tanks that I got, and like it felt good to actually get them because the bosses put up such a big fight where I actually needed those e-tanks. And same thing with the missiles and the other upgrades as well. Like it just feels good to get them. And yeah, and just overall, I think the presentation is just amazing. Like I know some people were like saying, "Oh, the game doesn't look good" or whatever, but I think the game looks fantastic for a Switch game. Like the back, like 2.5D games are really hard to make them look good, right? Like I usually think
Hmm.
2.5D games usually don't look that great. Like I'd rather just be sprite based or whatever. But I think Mercury Steam did a fantastic job. Like if you look in the backgrounds, like each background feels like this like beautiful diorama with just like things moving around in them. Like you can see like the first boss, you can see him like cloaking around in the background, sort of like stalking you. Like that shit's so cool, and like it's just so much unnecessary detail they didn't have to put, but it did it anyway, just to like bring that level of polish. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think the game looks fantastic. It runs great. Like it's always running at 60 frames. There's some points where it drops a bit, but for the most part, it runs beautifully. Like Samus animates so well. Like, she has so many unnecessary animation detail to her that it is very impressive. Just overall, just the amount of polish, how fun the game is, the challenge of it. I think it's my favorite 2D Metroid game without a doubt. Again, I'm not like a OG Metroid fan, so I don't have too much nostalgia for the other ones. So I could basically just say, yeah, I think Mercury Steam got it right with this game, and I really hope this game sells well so we get more 2D Metroid games like this, because this is an absolute blast. I don't know if it's my game of the year just because Ratchet and Psychonauts came out, but if those games weren't there, this probably would have been my game of the year. Definitely like top three games of the year so far. So
Yeah, and I am not surprised, and I hope that there's been a lot of news surrounding Metroid Dread with like fucking Kotaku promoting this fucking emulator
yeah,
thing and shit like that. And there were like these dumbass tweets with like Nintendo $60 game versus PlayStation, and I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
that's fucking God of War. Yep, yep. I mean, it's just different audiences, different platforms, etc. But yeah, Metroid Dread. I can't wait to play more, honestly, because I bought it just to like sort of like support it because I know the fucking Metroid fans are fucking eating right now. They are eating and they have not eaten in like years.
They've been
So
starving, bro.
I literally just bought it to be like, hey, it's the same thing with like Kingdom Hearts 3 that I did. I still haven't fucking played that game. I literally bought it at launch because I'm like, yeah, I want to support, to show that, hey, like we are appreciative that you guys finally fucking made this game. And same thing for Metroid Dread, but I actually played it. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
can
Oh, I
go
was just
on.
gonna say, like, it appeals not only to Metroidvania fans, but I think just to anyone that likes a good action platformer as well. Just because I think, again, like I said, the bosses are so well designed, and the game presents just that like that itch, for anyone that likes sort of those type of games. Like, I think it strikes the best balance between the two. Like Metroid Other M was like full on an action game at that point, and
Hmm.
it had a bad story, but in terms of gameplay itself, it was mostly just an action game, and people didn't really want that. People still wanted that Metroidvania feel, and I think this game provides best of both worlds, in my eyes, because I think the game is fun in a gameplay level and like in an exploration level, where it's fun to still explore, but it's also fun to kill stuff and fight bosses. So I think for if you are a fan of action platformers and not really that big into Metroidvanias, I definitely think you should give it a try, because I think people will end up liking it even if you don't like Metroidvanias. You know what I mean?
And like for people who haven't played a Metroid game like at all, would you recommend this as like their first time? Because like this is kind of like my first Metroid game, but not really. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I definitely say it's probably the best game to start with. Obviously, there's other games better to start with. Like I think Zero Mission is probably the best Metro game to start with, but you can't really get that anywhere besides the Wii U. So
yeah.
if under the current second, let's just say you just have a Switch, and the only two Metro games you could really only play on the Switch is Super Metroid and this game, I definitely would probably say play Super Metroid to see if you like the gameplay style. But I think Metroid Dread is definitely a great starting point. The game, like you won't get lost. Like I think the map is really good in this game. It labels
Hmm.
everything for you. You don't have to do
Yes.
anything with the map. It's really easy to know where you're going. The only hard parts is really like the fights and stuff, but at that point, just get good. You know what I mean? So honestly, I think it's a great game for newcomers to the series. I just think it's a great game for like newcomers of any Metroidvania to like see if they like the genre. So yeah, definitely would recommend it to newcomers.
All right. So is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it for Metroid.
All right, so now let's get into the Marvel What If finale and just sort of talk about the show in general. So I literally just watched it because I was saving it so I don't forget anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and we're gonna talk about spoilers, by the way. So I mean, it was pretty much what I expected. I'm like, it's probably gonna be a fucking Avengers team up and bullshit like that, and it's gonna be like universes, from this, and this, and if they do get the Killmonger one, he's gonna do some fucked up shit, and he did. So, yeah, I mean, it was beat for beat what I expected, and overall for the series, I wish honestly it didn't have like this sort of like big finale with the Avengers thing. It just sort of like kept doing this like anthology thing with like, these like what if stories, because, seeing Party Thor among all of them just felt a little off to me. I don't know. But that's also just because I don't like this Party Thor, sort of fucking gimmick. But yeah, what do you think about Marvel What If?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. Like, obviously, as we talked about with the Star Wars thing, some of them are gonna hit or miss. Obviously, I thought the Visions all basically hit, so that was really good for that. But for
Hmm.
What If, some episodes that I could do without and some I could do with, and I think we kind of expected it to end in an Avengers thing at this point because it kept like, I guess leading up to it. Um, Also, it was kind of weird with the Gamora thing. I think that was like we didn't get that. Like the Gamora, like she like killed Thanos, and like when was that? We didn't see her that.
Yeah, I would much rather get that than fucking the Party Thor, but
Yeah, but yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty good. Obviously, just that good Avengers team. I did appreciate that they made Ultron like pretty cool. I mean, I know he's
Mhm.
just Thanos at the end of the day in this, but at least he was like threatening. I never really liked Ultron in Age of Ultron that much. I think they could have done a lot better with him. I know you like kind of defend it now, but I'm still like kind of mad about it. I
Mhm.
haven't watched it in a bit, but yeah, still my least favorite Avengers movie. And I'm happy that he kind of got like a cool little, I guess, like restart in What If. I thought that was pretty neat. But besides that, yeah, I thought What If was pretty good. I mean, if they ended here and they don't do any more, I'll also be okay with that. Like, I don't really know how much more you could do with the. As you could do a lot more with the idea, because there's a lot more alternate stories you could do. But it kind of
Mhm.
ended it with an Avengers team up. I'm like, well, what now? What now? You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely wish that they kept playing more into the anthology stuff and just had like, what if Ultron won, and then just sort of don't have him sort of discover the alternate universes and all of that other stuff, and just kept playing towards, other stories that they might have wanted to tell, such as the Gamora one. And I found it funny in that one that like Tony still got shit. He's like, not you, Tony, not you. I need her.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
So, maybe there was an extra episode that they wanted to do, but they just couldn't. But they still got the Gamora actress to sort of do the voice, and they're like, well, shit, we gotta use these. So they just sort of threw her into the finale, which was obviously rushed. Which I think that you can say with any anthology series that a lot of like the story beats are gonna be rushed to a certain extent, especially when episodes aren't gonna connect with each other greatly. So yeah, I mean, overall, Marvel What If, it's whatever. I think that most people can skip out on it just because I feel like most Marvel watchers don't watch every single MCU movie. I feel like a lot of them like sort of pick and select which ones they want to watch. And then like when the big like Avengers movies come out, they'll sort of like try to piece it together sort of thing. But that's just like my theory. I'm not exactly sure if that's actually true. But yeah, I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's a harmless thing, it's not something you should like go out of your way to watch, but if you're in the mood for more Marvel stuff, it's here. Like, I don't regret watching it like week to week at all, but it's definitely not something that's like important in any way. Like, obviously, like it was a nice sort of like, I guess, break from like Loki, and probably Disney Plus is like, okay, like Hawkeye isn't done yet, so here, have this while you wait for Hawkeye, which I think it's fair. Like, I think it was still a fun series to watch. They got some cool ideas in there. Got a cool Avengers thing at the end, but if they didn't continue this, I wouldn't be that sad, but they might, but it's whatever. Like you said, it's whatever.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind if they just stopped here, because I'm not sure what other what if stories they could really do. But yeah, maybe they could prove me wrong, because obviously they would have to go and get these actors back again, and they can't do anything with the Star-Lord one, unfortunately, just because of circumstances. But yeah, if they stop it here, they stop it here. But I think overall Marvel What If is, like you said, a harmless thing that if you wanted more Marvel stuff, you probably already watched it. But overall it's whatever.
Yeah, again, there's not much to say about it, just because like there really isn't much to say about it. Like, it's just just a harmless set of stories that kind of team up at the end, which again, I don't think they had to do either. At this point, I probably would just like another animated series with just like Captain Carter or something by herself or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like I'd rather watch like these what if stories branch out into just their own separate continuity. And yeah, again, like I'd rather just watch a Captain Carter thing rather than another what if season, if that makes any sense. But yeah, that's just my opinion on that.
All right. So is there anything else you would like to add, good sir?
No, I think that's everything.
All right. So thank you guys for listening to the TravsTech podcast once again. We will see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
See ya.